Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. That was in the wrong order. Oh well. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Welcome to another Halo Infinite video, which is kind of weird to say. I'm so sorry I've been in a bit of a gap with the Infinite content. I have just been having way too much fun playing the game. But besides all the controversies, besides all the same content you've probably been consuming because they're all surrounding roughly one main issue, I found something that I can make some content on and showcase to you guys that I think you might find interesting. And that is that weapon variants are in Halo Infinite, and they're actually not that difficult to access either. They are currently built into the Fiesta game type. You just have to change a few settings to get to them, and then jump through a few hoops to be able to obtain said weapon variants and use them and etc. And we'll get through that later. I'm gonna try to make this video a quick one, just brush through every single detail that I have been able to find out about them. So not only am I going to show you how to access them, but I'm going to try to at least show you maybe not like a side-by-side comparison, considering majority of you know how all the other weapons in Halo Infinite work. Mainly just going to showcase what the new weapons do, what some of their attributes are, etc. But without further ado, thank you for clicking on the video. Let's jump right in. Starting from the top of the list, since there are 22 weapons in Halo Infinite, that obviously is going to mean that there are 22 weapon variants, because every single weapon has only one weapon variant to go along with it. So, number one, the assault rifle long shot, or the long shot assault rifle. I may mix these names around or like some of the words, but essentially the way this assault rifle works is it has 25 shots in the magazine compared to the normal 36. It has a longer effective range just by shooting it and being able to clearly tell, hey, this is killing people at a longer range. It has a smaller reticle compared to the normal assault rifle. It has a much larger amount of bloom. When you shoot it, the inner reticle blooms out to the edge much faster than the normal one. It seems to have a higher amount of recoil, and the scope at which you can zoom into when using when clicking in your right stick, unless you're on a different control scheme, it is a 1.65 times magnification instead of the normal AR's 1.4. Number two, the Breacher battle rifle, or however you want to call it, because now they're calling it the BR-75 battle rifle, blah, 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 blah. This one has 30 shots in the battle rifle compared to the other one's 36, so there's just 2 shots left in the entire magazine. It has a stupidly faster rate of fire. I don't know exactly how much faster. I could probably do the math quickly, but it feels like twice the fire rate, to be honest. And not only that, it also has higher damage. So it is a 3-shot headshot compared to the other BR's 4-shot headshot. It is still a 2-shot beatdown, and I believe for the body shots, I don't have it on my list here, but I believe for body shots, I think it's 2 less body shots compared to the original. Number 3, this is the Convergence Bulldog. Now, if you weren't a big fan of the actual Bulldog, this might help you change your mind on that a little bit. This one has 12 shots, or 12 shells, whatever you want to say, compared to the normal 7. Has a much smaller reticle compared to the other one as well. Obviously, basically, in turn, meaning it's got a much tighter bullet spread, which it does, and is stupidly longer effective range. As you're gonna see in a lot of this footage, I'm getting kills nearly cross map. It is super fun to use. It is not a 1-shot kill. I wasn't able to get a kill with 1 shot. It's basically just 2. But it is almost always 2. It is super fun to use, super satisfying, and just overall a ton of fun. Number 4, this is the Impact Commando. This one has 40 shots compared to the normal 20. This one has a stupidly higher amount of bloom, a 1.4 times scope compared to the normal Commando's 2 times, and it has a higher level of damage. So it will kill in 6 headshots compared to the normal Commando's 8, or 10 body shots compared to the normal Commando's 13. Number 5, the Backdraft Cinder Shot. If you already were having issues trying to use the normal Cinder Shot, you couldn't really quite pinpoint exactly what the best way to use it would be, this one might be a bit more difficult for you. But at the same time, we're gonna try to kind of explain how to use both, I guess. This one, when you fire it and it eventually explodes, it explodes in a burst of explosions compared to just like the one initial burst. As you can see on screen, this is exactly how it looks. Compared to the normal cinder shot, if you were to shoot it at a Spartan or an enemy, it would kill them in 2 direct body shots, or if you were to bounce it off of the ground and they would be in the middle of the explosion, it would take 2 of those shots as well, minimum. With the backdraft cinder shot, it's actually gonna take 3 direct body shots, or it's going to take 1 well-placed one, and if they're in the middle of that explosion, they're gonna completely be eviscerated on that 1 explosion. And last detail, it has to hit the floor to explode. All right, number 6, the calcine disruptor. This one is actually hella dope. I had a ton of fun using this against bots. So this one holds 7 shots compared to the normal disruptor's 10. And in terms of killing values, you need 3 shots to the head or 4 to the body. But the unique way that this thing works is that after you shoot it at a Spartan, at a vehicle, or even at the ground or a wall or any sort of surface, it will actually explode after about half a second to a second after impact into like a little ball of electricity. And that ball of electricity will actually damage anything else within its proximity, as well as distributing the damage. So if you have 2 Spartans near each other and you're firing at one, that damage will be distributed to the other Spartan right next to them. As well as the normal disruptor takes 7 shots to EMP any vehicle. This one takes 1. And not only that, you don't even have to directly hit the vehicle. If you shoot the ground next to it, the explosion will also EMP the vehicle. So you could technically EMP multiple vehicles at once. Super cool, super fantastic. I had an absolute blast using this. All right, moving on, we have the Duelist Energy Sword. And now if any of you use the Ravening Sliver from Halo 5, you're gonna like this one. This is the normal energy sword with a slightly bluer tint to it. It's not a huge difference in the way they look visually, but just a subtle enough to where you're like, oh, I can kind of see that. It has a longer effective range, a higher walk slash sprint speed. When you pull it out, you seem to be moving around I'd say probably about 10% faster. And it also has a higher jump height. And I wanna say it's probably about 10 to 15% higher jump. It may also recover faster after you killed someone. I did not test that out, unfortunately. I wouldn't be surprised if it did, but it's an absolute blast to use as well. The range on this thing is absolutely insane. Oh my lord, you're lunging at people from probably 30, 40 feet away, it feels like. Moving on, we have the Rushdown Gravity Hammer. This is again very similar to the Energy Sword variant, in which the effective range of this thing has been increased. Not a huge amount, but whereas before on the normal Gravity Hammer, when you would slam it, if sometimes someone was not in that effective range, their shields would basically they'd break and you'd have to swing again or pull out like a BR for a quick 1-tap to the head. With this one, I found that people were either dying immediately or not getting hit at all. So if they're if they're in that effective range at all for any bit of damage, they're basically gonna die. This one also provides a higher walk slash sprint speed. It seemed to match what the Energy Sword gave the player as well. However, it has a higher jump height, but it is even higher than what the sword gives you. It's feeling like it's like 115, 120% at least. Very similar to the Tartarus's Gavel from Halo 5. However, it does not, unfortunately, provide the same level of power and destruction that hammer provided. I don't really feel like it was different in the cone of effect with its swing, as well as I was not able to find any sort of gravity effects that this one had compared to the normal gravity hammer. I know it was kind of lacking in trying to jump, do a gravity hammer jump. It unfortunately is still not able to do that. Moving on, we have the Scatterbound Heatwave. Now this is again very similar to the other Heatwave. However, when you fire this, the bullets or the energy, whatever you want to call it, the shots, they stick together for a longer period of time while bouncing around before eventually dispersing. So with a normal Heatwave, you shoot it and usually after the first or second bounce, those shots have dispersed and gone off anywhere and eventually disappeared. Whereas these ones will stick together and allow you to essentially deal out more damage over time. Initially, I thought the damage was just higher with how I was testing it. It was kind of hard to test on bots, but now that I know that you can play, you can access these weapons online. I was able to test it on my buddy Zed. And so the damage is technically the same. It is still 3 shots to the horizontal mode and 2 at the vertical. However, something incredibly unique about this variant of the Heatwave is that it's very similar to the scatter shot from Halo 5, where when you shoot it at the ground, if there's an enemy in front of you nearby, the shot will actually bend towards your enemy and try to stick to it and hit them. But what's even better than that is technically you deal more, it secures you in dealing more damage. It's really weird. In the horizontal firing mode, if you fire at the ground, it will kill your enemy in 2 bank shots, but if you fire directly in front of them, it will still take 3 shots. In terms of the vertical mode, it's still just 2 either way, but just thought that was something super interesting to note. If you do end up using this variant at any point in the future, just know bank shots are your friend. Moving on, we have the Pursuit Hydra. Now this one is somewhat different from the normal Hydra. I don't have a whole lot of details on it as I wasn't able to really get many details on it involving vehicular damage. However, in terms of Spartan damage, the way the regular Hydra worked, it had the 2 firing modes, the one where it had the higher velocity rockets, but they did not lock on, and then the other one where it had these slower velocity rockets, but it did lock on to Spartans or vehicles. With that, when killing a Spartan with those 2 modes, if you were locked into a Spartan, it took 4 rockets to kill them on impact. And if you used the other initial firing mode, it took 2. Now with the Pursuit Hydra, it takes 3 shots in both modes to kill a Spartan. So no matter what mode you're in, it's gonna take 3 shots. I'm assuming with the name being Pursuit, it probably has a higher velocity when tracking objects or when trying to kill vehicles. So considering it takes 3 shots to kill a Spartan while in the lock-on mode, it more than likely is also dealing out more damage to vehicles. All right, moving on to the Mangler Riven. I don't know exactly how they want you to pronounce this, but this is the Riven Mangler. This one is fairly similar to the normal Mangler. However, it's a little bit different in the way the bullets work. So before the Mangler would shoot just 1 shot, this one shoots a 3-shot. Not necessarily like a burst, but the shot bursts into 3 different projectiles, essentially. Maybe it doesn't burst into it, but it shoots 3 projectiles per shot that you fire. Kind of like a normal shotgun in that sense. And so it makes it a little bit easier to hit your target in case you're maybe off by like a millimeter. There's 2 other projectiles there that should help you along. This one kills in 2 headshots or 3 body shots. However, I found something weird where you can get the perfect medal for shooting them 3 times. However, if you shoot them twice in the head, the perfect medal doesn't actually pop up. A little weird, I don't know, but there you go. Moving on, we have the Pinpoint Needler. If you're not sitting down, which I'd be surprised if you aren't, you're probably gonna need to take a seat for this one. This one has 30 needles compared to 27 of the normal one. You only need 8 to attach to your enemy to super combine and kill them. However, this needler can lock on to targets, but not only can it lock on to targets, it can lock on to multiple targets. The lock-on range is utterly insane. The amount of time it will stay locked on after your reticle is off them is insane. And the amount that the needles will curve and bend to hit your target and hit them is also insane. As you can see in this footage, I'll lock on, look away, fire however many off, and they'll find their way to the target, no problem. 343 were already really good at making fun needlers that were actually useful, but this one takes it to a whole nother level. And moving on from there, we have the Unbound Plasma Pistol. Now, before you get excited, no, it does not EMP vehicles. This one, when you charge it up, it actually shoots a burst of 5 shots. It's kind of like a shotgun blast, nearly. The charged up blast really doesn't track at all, to be honest, but the single shot firing mode tracks really well. If you've ever played Cursed Halo, and if you've ever used the plasma pistol that shot little hearts, they kind of track a little bit like that. Probably not as strong and as slow, but they track fairly well. And the amount of, I can't remember the amount of damage or the amount of shots you needed to kill. I think it was like 18 single shots to the body to kill a Spartan. Somewhere around 18. I do know that it does have more damage compared to the plasma pistol, but I unfortunately did not write down how many, but it does more damage. It's an interesting one. It's interesting in how it works. I know a lot of us aren't really fans of the current plasma pistol, but we'll see how you use this one. Moving on, we have the rapid fire pulse carbine. Now, for those of you that may be having issues with the actual pulse carbine, I would suggest putting a little bit more practice, but for this one, you probably will not need it. This one, as it says, it's a rapid fire pulse carbine. It will rapidly fire the shots, and it has a stupidly better lock on. As you can see here, I'm firing these shots, and the plasma shots are locking on, tracking much more efficiently than the normal pulse carbine does. Also, something to note, if you shoot at a Spartan once with the normal PC, it will not break the shields fully. However, shooting once with the rapid fire PC, it will actually strip the entire shields for you to make an even easier headshot with any other weapon that you might have. However, for both of them, to the head, they still take a minimum of 2 full bursts to kill. And moving on, we have the Rebound Ravager. This one is not one of my favorites. I loved the Ravager, and then they nerfed it into the ground when the beta launched. And this one is interesting. It's kind of fun to use, but the way it works is the shots bounce off of the ground or objects. From what I could tell, they'll infinitely bounce, but they have to hit the ground in order for them to explode. They have to bounce off the ground once, and then they will explode just right after bouncing. And in terms of the charged shot of the alternate firing mode, it'll bounce like 3 to 5 times before it explodes. I don't know in what instances that would be useful. I guess just getting around like tight corners or something, but I don't know. I couldn't really find much use for this, but I guess it's just cool that it exists. Moving on from there, we have the Tracker Spanker, or the Tracker Rocket Launcher, whatever you want to call it. For those of you that were fans of one of the rocket launcher variants, or rec variants from Halo 5, as well as the Halo 2 rocket launcher, you're gonna love this one, because this one locks onto Spartans and vehicles. Unlike the current rocket launcher, which doesn't lock onto anything. I will say the tracking is a little bit weak. However, again, it's better than nothing. So when it comes to vehicles or even air vehicles, it's pretty decent. It may be a little bit weaker in damage. Obviously, we already know that the actual rocket launcher is kind of weak in damage to begin with. I didn't really get a chance to really test out the damage, nor did I think it was really even useful to. If you hit the rocket, you hit the rocket. If you don't, you don't. That is the main aspect of this one. It's just the fact that you can track onto Spartans and to vehicles. Moving on from there, we have the Arcane Sentinel Beam. Now this thing is stupidly powerful. In all caps, stupidly powerful. Now the OG Sentinel Beam had about 250 max energy or ammo or whatever you want to call it you can use at a time. This one has a max of 80, and for good reason. It absolutely shreds vehicles, any vehicle that is, but this one absolutely shreds vehicles, and it destroys enemies within like half a second, maybe a quarter of a second. They're gone. As long as you can keep that reticle on there for that much amount of time, they're absolutely eviscerated from existence. And obviously, it feels like it may even have like less recoil. Obviously, there's not a whole lot of ammo in it, but from this footage you're seeing, Spartans are dropping like flies. And that's it. Stupidly fun to use, and I really hope it eventually makes it into like some super Fiesta variant, because I love this thing. And from there, we have the Purging Shock Rifle. Now this one is, kind of similar to the other electric weapon, the Disruptor that you know of. This one, however, is again more powerful. It EMPs vehicles in 1 shot compared to the normal 2. It will kill in 2 body shots compared to 3, and it will obviously still 1-tap the head. This one has what seemingly, it says 15 shots, and so you'd think, oh, it's got 4 times that I can pull the trigger before reloading, but it actually uses 5 out of the 15 every time you pull the trigger. So it basically only has 3 shots that you can use. However, again, they are stupidly powerful considering you can EMP a vehicle in 1 shot or kill a Spartan in 2. Moving on from there, we have the Striker Sidekick. Now, this one is, again, a lot of these weapon variants are really, really fun and incredible to use. This one has 14 shots in the magazine compared to the normal 12, and it has virtually no bloom. Honestly, there's less bloom in this thing than the Halo 5 Magnum. It has a much, much smaller reticle, which honestly, it seems like it's even smaller than Halo 5's. In terms of the damage, 3 to the head or 6 to the body to kill. Now, not quite what we're used to in terms of the Halo 5 5-shot to the head. So you could kind of recreate Halo 5's matchmaking, or at least Halo 5's Magnum with this if you were to change some damage values or maybe some like shield health stuff in custom game settings, but obviously that would affect every other weapon. However, yeah, this thing is stupidly insane to use. It's like using the Halo Reach Magnum without Bloom. If you've ever used the Halo Reach Magnum in the MLG playlist where Bloom doesn't exist, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Moving on from there, we have the Volatile Skewer. This is pretty dope. This actually, when you fire this, the projectile, the skewer, the big shtick that you fire, it will actually explode either on impact or after impact. It also has splash damage from the explosion, as you'd expect. As soon as you shoot a Spartan, it explodes on impact, whereas if you shoot the ground or a wall or something, it will explode, I think, after about roughly 1 second. I don't know if it'll explode right after you shoot a vehicle. I would assume so, considering it explodes off of impact of a Spartan. I didn't get a chance to try it on vehicles, but super cool and super fun to use. All right, we are about to close up this list. Second from last, we have the Flex Fire Sniper Rifle, or Flex Fire S7 Sniper, whatever you want to call it. This thing is very interesting. It threw me for a loop when I first picked it up. I was like, what the hell is going on? As you can see, the reticle is massive. It only has a 3x zoom, so nothing past the 3x zoom. That is the only zoom level it has. It holds 10 shots in the magazine. It has a stupidly faster rate of fire. Honestly, feels like the fastest fire rate I've seen out of any sniper rifle in Halo's history, even faster than Halo 2's. And in terms of damage, it takes 2 shots to the head to kill or 4 to the body. But when it comes to future custom games, I think, you know, not only this sniper rifle, but a lot of these weapons are they're gonna help create some really fun stuff. And the last but not least, we have the Stalker Rifle Ultra, or it's the Ultra Stalker Rifle. I can't remember what order it was in. Nothing huge here. Has a faster rate of fire compared to the Stalker Rifle. It only has 1 zoom level, and I'm 99% sure the damage values were the same. I could be wrong on that. For the most part, in majority of my testing, a lot of it was with bots. Unfortunately, it wasn't until later when I was able to get a friend to help out, which I didn't even know you could access the weapon variants online. I kind of stumbled across the ability to do that by accident. But Stalker Rifle already is really powerful. I don't believe the damage values have been increased. I may even have footage of it right now. I can't remember. It's really late that I'm recording this. But yeah, that's the last one. One zoom level, not even too far of a zoom, and just a stupidly faster rate of fire. All right, and that is all 22 weapon variants in Halo Infinite at the moment. Obviously, they can always add more in the future, or just, you know, more weapons, as they've already said they're going to. Anyways, that is the list. That is the video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. I hope these get you excited for future Halo custom games, or just for them to hopefully be actually added to Fiesta. I think they're just waiting until December 8th because these are technically campaign weapons as well. It'll be interesting to see how where they go from here. But if you enjoyed, leave a like, comment below which one you think is going to be the most interesting, or which one caught or piqued your interest, whatever you want to say. Subscribe if you're new. I also stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 p.m. Central if you want to come by. But hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Peace. Oh my fucking god. Oh my god. This is not gonna go well, lads. What the?